Hello, Hacks and Hobbies listeners. Are you looking to share your opinions, give me feedback, or tell me what you're thinking? Send me a voice message. Voice messages are an easy way for you to send me audio that might end up in future episodes of Hacks and Hobbies. They're the latest feature from Anchor, the platform I use to make this podcast. Here are some of the things I would love to hear from you. Are you enjoying the direction the podcast has taken for season 2? Is there someone I can interview that will absolutely help you gain more knowledge? What do you think of the different topics that I talk about on the podcast with my guests? You can send me a voice message right now from wherever you're listening. Just tap the link in my show notes. I can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. In Season 2 of Hacks and Hobbies, we're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life who want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. In this episode, we're going to talk about a little bit of what happened last week. As we left off in the last episode, I mentioned that I was going out to perform or act in a commercial, and it was really good. It was an excellent experience. It was an amazing crew out there at Studio Center. They did an amazing job in making me feel comfortable and being on camera. The director of photography were excellent, helped me get comfortable in front of the screen, in front of the camera lens. And it was an overall beautiful experience. I was found very personable and friendly to the crew. Hopefully, I didn't make a rude impression on them. Overall, I was super excited to be there and to be considered in being part of this amazing and awesome production. So that was really, really cool. I'm looking forward to the commercial coming out later this year. I'm not sure exactly when it will be aired, but as the week that it does air, I will be sure to drop a link in the show notes for that week's episode. Can't drop a link in the show notes for this one because I have no idea what lies in the future unless I could time travel, which we all know is kind of mistaken the way it has all set up, because time travel, you can't really go back into time and change something in your past, because technically that traveling in the past will be still my future, because every human being travels in a linear fashion. Anyhow, lots of updates coming through, so stick around. All right, welcome back. In this episode, as we talked about the experience at Virginia Beach, that was a lot of fun. I want to give an update on beekeeping and how the bees are doing. Bees are doing good. Have successfully installed the flow hive, as I mentioned in the last episode, and I see some bees going up there and starting to close those loops so they can start storing some honey in there. I do need to do a thorough inspection and figure out a way on when I want to harvest the honey that's already been produced, that's already been stored, the honey capped cells, and provide them with some blank frames so they can start adding some more good stuff in there. All right, so my neighbor, as I had mentioned earlier in past episodes, I was influencer. I don't know how to say it. I was able to influence a few people that know me to go into beekeeping, and of the 4, 2 of them have started beekeeping. One friend received his bees about a couple of weeks ago, I believe, and that's all set. He's feeding them, and they're doing pretty good. Number two, my neighbor just received their bees last Sunday, and we went in there. I walked her through how to move the hive from the boxes into their new home. Pretty easy step. You just bring in the frames one at a time from the nuke box into your medium box and place them just as they were inside the nuke box, right next to each other. And then you provide the empty frames towards the end of the hive. What this does is they can start feeling the new empty frames and start drawing those out as well as time passes on. The other thing that you want to put in there is food for them, 1-to-1 sugar mix, especially for a new hive, because they need that food immediately so they can start building that. They can start building and drawing out those new frames. I've mentioned this many times before. It takes about 8 pounds of sugar water mix or 8 pounds of honey to create 1 pound of beeswax. Bees essentially feed on this honey, feed on this sugar water, and produce the beeswax through their glands, build out a little bit at a time the beeswax, the cell, the frames. What we're providing to the bees is the foundation, and they take that foundation and they draw out the frame using beeswax. Now, if you've ever seen a 3D printer at work, 3D printers are amazing new creations that we've been looking at for the past, 5 years. And they're getting more and more popular. In fact, so popular that you can even go to a makerspace at your local library. At least the local libraries we have around this area, I've seen 3D printers. So go look at those 3D printers. You can even look at them up online, and you'll see how a 3D printer lays out bit by bit, pieces by piece, as it melts a rod of plastic and it lays out the design that you've concocted. Bees do exactly the same thing at a micro scale. Each bee will go around excreting beeswax and creating these frames. It's so fascinating. If you've ever looked at a frame that's half drawn out, you'll see that it's more drawn out towards the middle, and it's they're still working on the ends and edges, and it's super white beeswax that is drawn out. So you'll see these frames are super white and super clean, and a lot of these honey supers have this white frames, these whiter or lighter color beeswax, because the queen never goes in there and lays eggs, because she knows that this is where all the food is being stored. So super white. But if you go in the middle of the hive where the queen is laying eggs, you'll notice that the frames are much darker. So over time, they'll become darker and darker, but then the bees will not lay any, the queen bee will not lay any eggs on the honey supers area and whatnot. And that's one of the reasons, they put a queen super so you don't have the queen bee going up there and laying eggs. And it automatically triggers the worker bees to store nectar and store honey up there on the honey supers. And as you start collecting honey, you can add more and more honey supers. And the queen, as soon as queen hits the honey barrier, she's like, oh, I don't need to go up there because that's where this food storage is. So that's a little update on beekeeping and how bees control where eggs are laid versus where the food is stored, etc., etc. All right, next up, I want to talk a little bit about a good old sports racing, cycling team out here in Northern Virginia. They're known as Team Velocipede. They're an amazing company and an amazing band of brothers cycling together to be healthier, to be competitive, and they have been cycling for the past many years. Total combined, I would say easily 50 years of cycling history right here. So what's amazing is Hacks and Hobbies is a sponsor for Team Velocipede, and we have new cycling jerseys coming up for 2019, 2020, going into 2021. So an excellent opportunity if you are looking to get into cycling. Look up teamvelocipede.org. There's a lot of fun stuff happening here. Very dedicated teammates, very dedicated cyclists, and what's really awesome is the level of help and support that you get by being part of this team. On top of that, we also get discounts from local cycle shops. So if you're looking into buying a new bicycle or getting some gear or getting some accessories for your current bicycle, being part of Team Velocipede is only good for your budget. Some of the upcoming episodes for this week are as follows. For Tuesday, May 21st, we'll have Antoine Eraldi. Now, he's a consultant author and a ghostwriter aiming to help you become a best-selling author. We had a pretty cool conversation. We got to chat about his motivations to becoming a writer and what he's working on for this year and bringing to our ears and our eyes, because we're reading books, right? Get it. For Wednesday, May 22nd, we have Robert J. Moore, founder and creator of the amazing book series Magnetic Entrepreneur. His aim is to teach you how to tell your personal story so you can stand on stage without being nervous. We had an amazing chat and conversation about how he became the Magnetic Entrepreneur. He's written several books co-authored with other amazing guests. Also wanted to mention that the upcoming Magnetic Entrepreneur Award ceremony is just around the corner. It will be landing here in the world June 1st and June 2nd. So make sure to keep an eye out on the Facebook live feeds, on all the speakers speaking up on the stage, and all the amazing authors receiving their awards. On Thursday, we have Doug Cohen. He's a product manager with passion for music and video. He's been playing music as long as he's been managing and planning products. I had the pleasure of working with him over the past few years and learned quite a lot, with some great stories to share on the episodes. And specifically what we're talking on this episode is a lot around video production. He's currently getting into video production himself, and he wanted to pick my brain. So I was like, hey, how about we do this on the episode? And so you'll enjoy a little bit of conversation on this episode on Thursday, May 23rd. Closing out the week, we have Sunny Tanan's episode dropping on Friday. Sunny Tanan is an international speaker, author, a branding content strategist, as well as just an amazing, awesome gentleman. He's not only a content marketing creator, but also one of the first LinkedIn video creators. He's creating simple and focused videos on valuable and actionable steps to take with you. In this episode, we get to talk about some really cool stuff, such as a children's book that was recently launched. It's rated one of the awesome books for children to learn about different countries as Sunny and his son travel different parts of the world. So there you have it, 4 powerful entertainment and information-laden episodes coming to you this week through Hacks and Hobbies. These are interviews, so we get to learn from our fellow man on how they got to where they are today. Yeah, that's me. So yeah, looking forward to hearing from you, and please send a voice message through Anchor. Anchor recently updated the voice messages platform. You no longer have to use their app to send a message to your favorite podcast. In fact, you can go directly to a podcast page and leave a message from the webpage and answer a question, or just tell your podcast host what it is that you love about the podcast. So you'll probably hear an ad talking about
Thank
me
you
asking
for listening
you
to Hacks and
to
Hobbies.
leave me a
You can
podcast
find
message.
additional
So yeah,
information on the
thanks
guest
again for
today
listening.
on the website.
Hope you're having a wonderful day.
Please feel free
Please
to subscribe
tune
to the
in again
podcast
tomorrow.
so you
Thanks
don't
again.
miss out on upcoming interviews with amazing guests.